Hi, this is Mrs. Mangle, and we are trying something new today. And I'll check in with you about this a little bit later, but I'm going to go ahead and record the lesson for you today. You're just simply going to watch this and go at your own pace. So, the first thing that you're going to want to do is to please open up Otis. Once you are in Otis, you're going to go ahead and head on over to Classes. And then go ahead and click period 5, Mangle ELA. And then you're going to take your cursor, you're going to go over here, and you're going to head on over to Assessments. And you don't have to worry about that part because that's just a teacher thing. And you're going to click on the Student Notebook. Okay, right here, the Student Notebook. Some of you guys turned this in, and you're actually going to need to have that. You're going to click Retake. Now, if you look at this, this is actually not, these aren't real. I just had you guys turn them in. So if it says like you're not done, you're done. I've graded everybody's. I gave you a consistently, which is the highest that you can get. So you're going to go ahead and open up yours, and I'm going to show you some directions for that again, for those of you who need it. So again, you're going to go to Otis, click Classes, click 5th period ELA, go to the Assessments tab, and then open up your student notebook. Now, for those of you who turned it in as that practice activity, you are just going to click Retake. It's going to say, are you sure? That's going to erase your grade and you're going to have to start over. It's fine. It's not even a real grade. I'm going to delete that anyway. So you're going to click Yes. And then you're going to click on the on your actual student notebook on the right-hand side. There is a tab that says ELA. ELA means English Language Arts. So you're going to go ahead and click on that. Here we go. And it should look something like this. I'm going to present this to you. So this is my ELA tab. And what I'm going to do, if you just click on it, double click on it, whoops, sorry. I'm wondering if I can't write on it because I'm showing it to you. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry, guys. I think that's what's going on. Yeah, when you're in presenting mode. No, okay, so I can't actually show you with the big screen, but it's really easy. You're going to just double click on it. And then at the very top, your title is going to be Bell Ringers. Bell Ringers. And today you have your very first bell ringer, and basically that I'm going to do this from now on because there are a lot of people coming in late, and it'll give everybody time to kind of show up and get settled. So you're going to have a bell ringer at the very beginning of class, and what that means is it's just a very short activity that you're going to participate in under ELA, and there'll be different questions every single time. Some of them will be funny, some of them will be about writing, some of them will be just questions, but I'm going to show those to you right now. So I'm going to click on over here. So here is your bell ringer for today. I thought that this little cat one was perfect for today because this is the third Monday in a row where we had to start off in a weird way. The first time it was Otis that didn't work. The second Monday was also Otis that didn't work. And then today it was Zoom and Google Meet. And then I think your Clever went down as well. So each morning when you come into ELA, which is 5th period for you and 1st period for my other class, you will go into the assessment section in Otis and open up your notebook. You will answer the prompt shown on the Zoom screen in the tab labeled Bell Ringers. So I just showed you how to find it already. So the question for today is this. I know the date is wrong, just ignore that. If you could have only one wish in the whole world and it was guaranteed to come true, what would it be? No wishing for more wishes. So tell me what your wish would be and tell me why. Always with bell ringers, you must use complete sentences. So that is going to be your activity right now. Go ahead and pause this video so that you can do that. So the question again, if you could have only one wish in the world and it was guaranteed to come true, what would it be? No wishing for more wishes. You are now going to pause the video and write in your student notebook under ELA, under bell ringers. Okay, so if you hit play again, you should be ready to move on to the next activity. I'm going to get rid of that since we do not need it. And the next activity that you are going to do, okay, so the next thing that you are going to do is to keep that notebook up and just simply go to the very next page under ELA. There's already a second page there for you. So you're going to use your notebook to do the following activity. So right now what you're going to do is in your notebook, you are going to want to write the terms for elements of a story. So today we're going to learn about the plot diagram. We're going to learn about the first 3 parts of a plot diagram. And go ahead and hit pause right now and split your screen. So you're going to want to have this on one side of the screen, and you're going to want to have your ELA notebook open and ready to type some notes on the second half of your screen. The notebook is the exact same thing that you just worked with. So you're just going to write in the ELA section on the next page. If you can't figure out where the next page is, it's fine. It's very easy to change. Just write in your notebook under ELA. And your title this time is going to be Elements of a Story. Elements of a Story. Anytime that you need me to go slower, just pause so you can write things down. Now, there's something that every single story follows, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, whether it's a play, and it is the following items: plot, theme, characters, setting, and conflict. And we're going to learn about, the first thing we're going to learn today is about plot. So what is plot? And this is what you're going to write down, just the definition right here. So in your notes, go ahead and write down plot. Plot is basically, it's the series of all of the major events that make up the story. So all the major events that make up the story, that's the entire plot. And there's lots of pieces to the plot, but that's what a plot is. It's all the major events. So that's going to include, and you don't need to write this part down, but it's going to include these parts, which we are going to go over this next week. So it's pretty simple. It's just all the events in the story, the major events. So make sure to write this definition down just like this in your notebook. So this is what you're going to learn about. You might have done this in 5th grade, but it's been a long time since we've all been in school together, so I definitely want to go over this again. This is the plot diagram. We are going to use this for the rest of the year. And the first thing that happens in a story is exposition. Next is rising action, and then climate, and then following action and resolution. You don't need to write this down because I'm going to give you some plot diagrams to work with later on in the week. So let's go ahead and go over exposition, and then I have a little video to show you too that'll explain it really well. So exposition are all the events that happen at the beginning of a story, and it helps you really understand the characters in the story much, much better. So lots of background information is given. You also get to see the setting. It is the setting in terms of time and place. So normally when it comes to time, is it in the past? Is it in the present? Or in the future? And then where does the story take place? Sometimes the time is not revealed until later on in the story, and that's okay. But you will at least know where this is taking place. The characters are introduced. and you will get to know their backstories. Where do they come from? Why are they here? What led them to this place in time? And also the prior plot events. So you're going to go ahead and write all of this down in your notes. Go ahead and pause if you need to, because I'm going to move on to characters, because you can pause anytime you need to. Now, the characters are introduced in the exposition, and they're really important, of course, to know all about their backstories and background information. And in most stories, there's definitely a protagonist and an antagonist, and they're two different kinds of characters. There are definitely more than two different types, but today we're going to learn about the protagonist and antagonist. The protagonist is the main character of the story. Usually, almost always, it's the good guy. It's someone, and a good story always has this character, usually that has a lot of flaws, that is a really good person trying to make it in the world. I think of Harry Potter when I give this kind of example. So, the typical good guy. And of course, the antagonist then is going to be the character who is in constant conflict with the protagonist. The typical bad guy. Again, Harry Potter works perfectly because Voldemort was definitely his antagonist. And they were able to carry that for 7 books, the protagonist and antagonist. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's always a bad guy, but it's someone who is in constant conflict with the protagonist. So again, there's 2 main types of characters: protagonist, which is the good guy, the main character, and then the antagonist, who is in conflict with the protagonist in some way, and usually it's the bad guy. So write those down as well in your notebooks. You can definitely hit pause. I know I'm going a little fast, but there are a lot of people who can actually go fast. So those of you who need to pause, perfectly fine. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a video now. For those of you who have never seen The Lion King, this is the exposition. This introduces the characters. It tells you the setting of the story, and it gives you some knowledge of what is happening right now. Now, there's no words, which is pretty amazing because they're still able to convey what is going on. So we're going to watch that right now, and you don't need to take notes on this video. This is just to help you understand exposition a little bit better. Oops, maybe I cannot, let me see. Okay. Okay, so that was the exposition to The Lion King. And in that video, they were able to demonstrate, let's see how I can share this again. They were able to demonstrate that the animal community was actually accepting Simba as their next ruler. That could be inferred just by simply watching this video. We also learned that who the father and mother were, and we could also guess that the lion that was shown holding Simba at the beginning was his father. So, and the setting, of course, was that beautiful. We could probably infer that it was Africa, definitely with the animals there. So, we cannot tell if it was the past, the present, or the future. But in this case, it doesn't matter. That was the exposition to the movie The Lion King, the beginning that introduces the characters. So the next thing that I would like you to write down is rising action. And this is the last one that we are doing today. Rising action. So write that down. Rising action includes all of the events that lead to the climax. So again, the climax is the most exciting part. So we're doing this part right here. If you can see my cursor, this is the rising action. It keeps getting closer and closer and closer and leading up to the climax, which is right here. And the fun part about the rising action, that is when the conflict of the story is introduced. A good conflict makes such a good book, such a good movie. So let's go to this next slide. You can pause if you need to. Oh, I thought it was going to talk about the conflict. This is our last slide, but conflict is still going to be introduced. So you still have a little bit of work after this. So the rising action includes all of the events that lead to the climax. Now, I cannot show you all of the events that lead to the climax in Lion King because it would take too long. It's a lot of the movie, rising action. But I can show you a tiny bit of rising action, which is the introduction to conflict. So if you've seen the movie, you know that the antagonist is the brother Scar. And this little clip right here is going to show you where he chooses to not attend Simba's ceremony. And there's two big conflicts that happen in here. We'll talk about it afterwards.
Life's not fair. You see, I shall never be king. And you shall never see the light of another day. And you.
Didn't your mother ever tell you not to play with your food?
What do you want?
I'm here to announce that King Mufasa's on his way. So you'd better have a good excuse for missing the ceremony this morning.
Now looks as though you made me lose my lunch.
Ha! You'll lose more than that when the king gets through with you. He's as mad as a hippo with a hernia.
Ooh, I quiver with fear.
Now, Scar, don't look at me that way. Help!
Scar. Drop him.
Impeccable timing, Your Majesty.
Why, if it isn't my big brother descending from on high to mingle with the others.
Sarabi and I didn't see you at the presentation of Simba.
That was today? Oh, I feel simply awful. Must have slipped my mind.
Yes, well, as slippery as your mind is, as the king's brother, you should have been first in line.
Well, I was first in line until the little hairball was born.
That hairball is my son and your future king.
Oh, I shall practice my courtesy.
Don't turn your back on me, Scar.
Oh, no, Mufasa. Perhaps you shouldn't turn your back on me.
Is that a challenge?
Temper. I wouldn't dream of challenging you.
Pity. Why not?
Well, as far as brains go, I got the lion's share, but when it comes to brute strength, I'm afraid I'm at the shallow end of the gene pool.
There's one in every family, sir. 2 in mine, actually. And they always manage to ruin special occasions.
What am I going to do with him?
He'd make a very handsome throw rug.
Zazu.
And just think, whenever he gets dirty, you can take him out and beat it.
Okay. So that was your example of rising action. And the conflict that was presented, well, there were two. One, Scar felt that it wasn't fair that Simba was born because he felt like Simba was taking away his right to be king. And the conflict with, I don't know the dad's name, but the dad, the conflict with him was that his brother, Scar, did not show up to the ceremony for Simba. So those are the two conflicts in there. And we're going to learn a little bit about conflict right now. So these are the last things that you're going to write down. Okay, so the last part that I would like you to write down is conflict. So conflict is the struggle between two forces in the story. It's the character and another force. And conflict is great. And without it, stories would be really boring. And it just basically provides interest and suspense and tension. If you've ever watched a scary movie, it's when you have to cover your eyes because something really scary is about to happen, or you didn't even realize it, but your shoulders were really tight and tense against your ears. It's when you take the blanket and put it over your head, because you're scared. It's not always scary, though. It can be that you really want someone to succeed, and it doesn't seem that they're going to succeed. So you get that same kind of feeling, but because you want them to win so badly, it's that you want the good guy to come out on top, that kind of thing. So the conflict creates a lot of fun in novels and movies. Now, there are 3 types of external conflict, and that just means the character against somebody that is not, or something that is not himself. It's outside of him or her. And the first type is character versus character. It's when the characters, 2 or more characters, have a problem. It can be physical, where they're fighting. It can be that they're maybe having an argument. It can be that they're jealous because one of them got something that the other one didn't. It can be that the person didn't call them back. There's a million character versus character, so it doesn't have to be quite as epic as Harry Potter and Voldemort, but that is another example. Character versus nature. That's when characters have to fight against a force of nature. So a hurricane, a tornado, a storm, a disease, a pandemic. All of those are examples of the character having to fight against nature to survive. And the last kind of character external conflict is character versus society. Now, if you have read or seen the Hunger Games, that's a perfect example of how the character fights against the rules of a society. So there are lots and lots of books like that, but that's just one of the many examples. And the only kind of internal conflict, which is the conflict inside of yourself, of the character, inside of the character. So when they're struggling with an issue inside, it is the character dealing with an internal struggle. It's usually moral, like, should I do this or not? I know that I should be doing my homework, but I don't want to. What should I do? You're struggling with your choice. Maybe your parents asked you to do something and you're struggling because you want to go do something else. In books, it's usually bigger than that. There's in Tom Sawyer. Tom Sawyer doesn't know if he should testify in court against Joe. That's testifying in court is much bigger, of course, than an internal conflict about doing homework or not. But those are both examples of internal conflict, and there are lots and lots. Just think of your very favorite books and movies, and think of an example of a character who is struggling to make a choice inside of themselves. If you've ever read Percy Jackson in The Lightning Thief, in the very beginning, he had a lot of internal conflict about what to do and who to talk to, and he kept thinking that he was seeing things, but he wasn't. But he didn't want to tell anybody that, and it's a good example of internal conflict. So make sure that you have written the 3 types of external conflict down, as well as the 1 type of internal conflict. And that is everything that you need to do with this slideshow for today. So when you're done, hopefully you have time left and you have a break before social studies. So when you're done, you can just take a break until social studies starts. Thanks, guys. And I forgot to tell you something. This is actually important. If you have any questions about anything that we were doing right now, you're actually going to go back to Otis. You're going to go to classes. And then we've practiced this a little bit, but not too much. So I want to make sure you remember. Then you are going to go to, where am I? Oh, up here. You're going to click on Language Arts. And then you're going to go to Class Board. And right here, the ELA Class Question Board. If you are having any trouble or if you have any questions about what's going on in Language Arts, you just click that board and you, sorry, I got distracted because now there's all these questions, but they're old. You're just basically going to write a question here, and students can answer. I can answer. My TAs can answer. So if you have a question about anything that we've been doing for Language Arts, you're going to take your question, post it here. I will answer it. I can answer during class, of course, and I also look at it outside of class time as well. So this is where you are going to post all of your questions for Language Arts. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you during social studies.